As an off-road driver, you need to be concerned about your low-hanging fruit. What do I mean by that? Stick around and find out. Low-hanging fruit to me are the low spots on your vehicle, underneath your vehicle. So you need to be concerned about where those low spots are in relationship to where you're sitting in the driver's seat, so you don't run a diff right up on a rock, especially if it's not armored or you have a skid plate. So you need to make sure that you're not damaging your diff covers. What I want you to do is go out to your vehicle and actually crawl underneath it. Get right down on the ground and have a look. Now you can see that the obvious obstruction that's hanging low, or your lowest hanging fruit, is your front differential. Here we are looking at the front of a JL Sport Wrangler. Just to the right of that diff, you can see that you have a lower control arm. And off to the left towards the passenger side wheel, you can see that there's another lower control arm mount. So those are your low points, or your low-hanging fruit in the front. You also need to pay attention to your steering because your tie rod is actually in danger. Now here's a view from the back. Here again, you can see that your diff cover, which is in the center line of the vehicle on this side, on this end of the vehicle, is hanging low. But you also need to pay attention to your shock mounts, your lower control arm mounts. See how much lower they're hanging to? Got to make sure you understand where they are in relationship to where you're sitting in your vehicle. Let's not neglect looking from the side. You can see you have lower control arm mounts that are sticking down. You can actually see that the front cross member sticks down just a little bit, and of course where your frame rails and stuff are. Here you can see I had my buddy Louie just pull up to this rock, and even though he might clear it, he also might clip it. In this situation, it's not such a big deal because he has nodular iron diff covers. But my point is, if he was to move over a foot to the passenger side, he could put this tire up on that rock and completely eliminate this as a potential damage point. So I've had Louie pull forward, straight forward. He just pulled straight on up, and you can see, look at the top of that rock, he actually dragged his rear diff over the top of that. Reason for that is the diff on the front is a Dana 30, which is smaller than the Dana 44, which is in the back. So that little bit of a difference caused him to hit that rock with his rear diff. But again, he's got nodular iron diff covers, which is just as good as being armored, so it's not that big a deal. However, if he was driving on trail, he probably would have turned left or right before his rear diff got to that point to completely miss it. Here's a situation where I was talking about you got to watch where your steering is. As you can see, if I keep continuing forward, I'm probably going to hit that tie rod before I hit anything else. And because it's in front of the axle, you need to take that into consideration, because if you bend that, you're in for a bad day. So the option here is let's go ahead and put a tire up on that rock instead of all the hard parts. Let's try that real quick. So as you can see now, I've got no obstruction to any of my hard parts underneath. All my low-hanging fruit is up nice and high. So the whole point of this video is to get you to understand that you need to know where your low-hanging fruit is in relationship to where you're sitting in the vehicle and what might be a possible remedy to miss those hard parts. Sometimes the better part of the battle is just making a decision to go ahead and put a tire up on a rock instead of trying to straddle it. Till next time.